So how much money do you need to start selling your products on Amazon? That's actually a really difficult question, and there are a million different answers to that, because it really depends on what kind of product you want to do, what kind of risk you want to take, what kind of investment capital you have available, because you can start with $100,000, but you can also start with a couple of $100, and there are two sides of that. And one of the things that you have to understand is there are kind of two currencies that you have available. One currency is your money, and the second currency is your time. The more money you have, the less time you need to invest to push your products out or to promote your products. Because let's go from this angle. If you have $5,000, right, then you can lean back very comfortably and you can budget. You can say, okay, it's $3,000 for the product, and then another $2,000 are for the initial market in pay-per-click, PPC. That's how it's called. So you can go and do a very traditional road that everyone kind of talked about when Amazon first started, which is, hey, buy 500 units of your product or 1,000 units if you can, put them out on Amazon, run on pay-per-click, invest into a handful of keywords, rank up and sell your products. That's around a $5,000 budget. But there are a lot of options for people that say, okay, but I have a lot more money than that to invest. Should I go and try different products? Should I just go buy more expensive products? What should I do? Then there's the other spectrum of people saying, oh, like $5,000 sounds like a lot of money. And it is. It is a lot of money that you kind of put on the line. So what can I do with $500? What could I do with $1,000? How do I go about the process, and what kind of costs do I look at? What kind of costs do I look at for the sourcing process? What kind of costs do I look for, shipping the products over? And we'll break that all down. And what kind of costs do I look at for launching, for marketing, and getting my product off the ground, right? So let's break this down a little bit. The very first costs that you have, and this is a topic you see a lot of people complaining about, is samples. Actually, one of the costs that comes before that is all the courses and all the stuff that teaches you the right way. Everyone has their own right way to launch their products, and it's just about doing it. So let's start at the sourcing process. When you found your product, you need to source your product. When you source your product, you need to get a couple of samples, and that's the thing that you see everyone complain about online. Oh, samples are too expensive, so everyone is overcharging me for samples. I'm somewhere off the grid in Australia, and they want to charge me $100 for the samples. By the way, there are a couple of videos on this channel, and the best one you can find here in this card that's going to show you how to save money on those samples. But it's the very first cost to put into consideration. You must get samples. There's no way around it. You have to get samples, because otherwise you're going to lose a lot more money in the future. That's something I promise you. If you say, hey, I only have a small budget, then you want to go without any customizations. You cannot put your logo on it. You cannot do custom packaging. There's just no space for that. There's just no margin in that, because you need a certain quantity to go for that. So the first thing is samples, and you should get around 5 samples from different suppliers so that you can find who has the best quality. So first you get quotations, then you get samples. And those 5 samples you gotta pay, obviously. And if you have someone in China that bundles that for you, probably you're looking at $200, maybe $300. It really depends on the product for all of those samples. And I say, oh, $300, that's kind of eating into my $500 budget that I have. And that's the problem with starting with $500. So if you only have $500 or $1,000, stay tuned, because I'm going to share a strategy how you can still do that. So that's the first thing that you need, is a couple of $100 for samples that you get. Then you have to pay your product, obviously. When you pay your product, that depends on how many units do you order, how expensive is your product. So let's say if you're starting small, on the small side, and you buy 300 units, which is, I feel, the bare minimum that you should do, because you don't want to run out of stock. So if you have 300 units in, how long does it take to produce more products during the time when you sell those 300 units, because you don't want to run out of stock? Then you're on the low side there. So if you have 300 products at $3 each, then you're looking at $3,000. Then you're looking at $900 for the product. Then comes a little bit of shipping. If you airship them, which you have to at that quantity, there's no way you airship those products. Then you're looking probably at another $200, $300 for that. It really depends on the product, on the weight. You can calculate around $5 per kilogram. That's kind of what you can do. And then you're looking at $1,000, $1,500 just to be sure on that side. Then you have your marketing spend. That is money you put in pay-per-click to rank your products up initially, so that the organic traffic that comes into Amazon can find your products, pick up your products, and buy your products. There are some other ways, and we will head to that, where you can avoid all of those spendings in the beginning, and where you can do that off the platform without spending money in advertisement, which pay-per-click it's nothing else than advertisement. It's the same as YouTube ads, the same as Facebook ads or YouTube ads or whatever. So on the small side now, without placing ads, with buying the bare minimum on products, and with all of the things on the lowest level, you're looking at around $2,000 here. That's kind of the minimum that I feel like you should have available to invest, okay? Now, if you have less than that, like I say, stay tuned, because there are more things that you can do. If you don't have a lot of time, then what you should do is also get a little bit more. So if you can, you're rather looking at $5,000, because you can buy a few more units, and don't worry, there are always ways to sell those out later if it doesn't work initially. You can buy more units, you have a little bit more wiggle room that you can spend into advertisement, where you can start ranking for a few more keywords, where you can start pushing this a little bit further or a little bit faster. And if you have that extra, the little bit extra, you also need a little bit extra for your reorder, because you will not make all your money back in profits from your first batch of products before you have to place the reorder. So the reorder of your products, and that's something everyone always forgets because no one thinks that far, is that when you start selling your product, well, now that you know, okay, every day I sell 5 units or 4 units or 3 units, and you can calculate, hey, I'm going to be running out of stock in 60 days, and it kind of takes me 45 days to get product. So in 2 weeks I have to order, but in 2 weeks you don't have the money back yet that you invested initially. So you need to have a little bit of extra money that comes into play there. So if you want to play it safe, you should have around $5,000. That's also a great budget where you have wiggle room to hire someone for sourcing your products. Because at that budget, if you hire me and my team to source your products, we can save you 20% on your product costs. So the savings that you do, those 20%, are greater than our fee. So someone can do this for you, someone, I mean myself. We can do this for you, and you don't have to pay any cent out of your own pocket, because you would invest that money anyway in your product, but now you're getting a better deal. So it's a no-brainer here. So if you're looking at $3,000, $4,000, $500, that's when it starts to make sense to outsource the whole sourcing thing. If you want to do that, by the way, there's an email address below here in the description. Just head over there and send me an email, and I'll jump on a call with you and tell you all about the things that we can do for you. Now, that's kind of the ideal case. One disadvantage I see with investing $5,000 is that initially you're going to make a lot of mistakes, and some of the money is going to be burned. That's just part of the process. That's just how it is. You can get very comfortable, and you can say, okay, I have enough budget for the pay-per-click. What I have to do is sit down here and turn on pay-per-click, and Amazon will do the rest for me. Amazon will put my products out. Amazon will rank my products. Amazon will sell my products for me. The problem on that is that you get very comfortable, and you're not forced to think outside of the box. So a lot of times sellers that come in that are forced to think outside of the box because they don't have the budget are a lot more successful later on, because they found a lot more ways to sell the products than just the pay-per-click. Because if you only rely on that, the only way the pay-per-click costs are going is up. There's no way that Amazon is going to come around and say, let's make pay-per-click cheaper. That's not going to happen. You might not want to get too comfortable. I know we don't have a ton of time. We're still in our full-time jobs and all that kind of stuff. I know. And I understand that you have to take care of your family. But if you don't have that huge budget and you're forced to think outside of the box, then you have to think outside of the box. And that means you're going to think outside of the box. What I mean with that is, and now I'm going to get to the lower end budget of, like, let's say you want to start with $500. It's incredibly difficult to do that because you cannot buy a whole lot of products. A lot of the money is going to be eaten up by your samples already. So instead of having the samples shipped over to you, hire a freelancer that can look at your samples for you, that can make pictures of your samples for you, that is in China. So you ask the factories to send it to that person, and that sort of person doesn't even forward it to you. And you can find those people on Fiverr. Just look for virtual assistants in China. They make pictures for you of the product and give you feedback. And then based on that, it's a little bit more risky than looking at it yourself, but you save all the money of shipping your samples to you. And then you say, okay, now I have a handful of products. Maybe you have 100 units, and you ship them over to wherever you want to sell them. You ship them over to the US or to Australia or wherever you want to put them into Amazon storage. Now that the products are in the storage, you will see that nothing happens. Amazon isn't saying, oh, someone just put products in their storage, let's sell it. Amazon is not going to do that for you. You have to basically prove to Amazon that, hey, my product is worth selling. Put my product out there because my product is better than the other products. Which also, with a $500 margin or budget, you cannot do a lot of customizations on your product. But it doesn't matter. It shouldn't hold you up. So what do you do now? You have your products in Amazon. You can't afford any pay-per-click. now you're forced to think outside of the box, right? What I mean by that is you will come up with ways where, for example, you start leveraging affiliates, where you say, hey, I'm going to look for micro influencers on YouTube, for example. Micro influencers are people that have just started. If you see this video now, probably you're gonna notice that it barely has clicks, barely has views. There are not many people watching my videos for now. So I'm a micro influencer for now. If people reach out to me and I'm speaking about something related to your product, so if you're selling water bottles for runners, then you want to go to channels that are speaking about running that are very, very small, and you just say, hey, I have this really cool product here. It's a very cool water bottle. I want to send you that. Would you make a review about it? So that the person has something to talk about. They have content and they feel a bit special because someone reached out to them. So these micro influencers, they don't need a payment for that, right? So you can just say, hey, I'll give you can just link to that with your own Amazon affiliate link and kind of earn money through that, right? That's what you want to do. Thinking outside of the box, reaching out to those people, because if you have 10 of those micro influencers, then you might get, some people over to your Amazon listing that start buying your product. That's nothing that's going to rank you for certain keywords, but it's going to create a little bit of turnover. So you now have cash flow where you have $10 a day here, $20 a day there, $5 another day. So after a week, you can take that money and don't take it out. You have to take that money and say, okay, now this part is put by side for my next inventory, because next time I'm going to be able to buy not only 500, but I'm going to be able to buy 600 units, and then maybe 750 units, and then 1,000 units, and then 1,500 units, and then 2,000 units, and then 2 different products, right? It just takes a longer time, but you're going to have cash flow. So some of that money, when you have enough inventory in stock, some of that money that you tucked away, that can be now placed into pay-per-click. Right? Because now you earned your own budget. Now you have cash flow that you can leverage to put into one keyword. So you say, okay, this is the first niche keyword that I want to rank for. You put up pay-per-click budgets. You start ranking for these low volume, low competition keywords. And you start ranking up. You start making organic sales, and voila, there's your second stream of income, of cash flow. Right? Because the YouTube videos stay, or if you give it to bloggers, those blog posts stay on the web. So the more views the channel gets, the more people are going to view that product, that video or the blog post in the future. That doesn't go away, right? So that's what you want to look at. And then you can use that leverage, put it into all of those little keywords, start ranking for them, and start selling organically through that keyword. That whole process takes 6 months, But you got to start somewhere, and this is something that you can really do beside your job, that you can do on the weekends. After a year, you might be able to buy a second product or a third product, and because you're still limited by budget, you say, well, how can I increase traffic to my listing? How can I get people to my listing to buy my product? Because you can't rely on Amazon to do that. They are greedy. They're greedy people, right? So they want you to spend money on pay-per-click. So now thinking outside of the box, again, it forces you to do more things. Maybe now you can take a little bit of budget and pay not micro influencers, but small influencers, a small fee to do a review about your product. That also stays and continuously does cash flow. Maybe after 2 months, maybe after 3 months, you have 100% return on your advertisement spend that you put out to these people. So after these 2 and 3 months, from that month on, it just starts flowing profit into your pockets, right? So that's one of the easy strategies that you can use. Another strategy that you can use, and that's where the time component really comes in, where I said in the beginning, you either have money or you either have time. Now that you have the time, you can take time, you can always make time. And you can say, hey, on the weekends, I'm going to take every Saturday and I'm going to record 2 videos for my target audience. So if my target audience is runners, then on the weekend, I'm going to do 2 or 3 or 4 videos or blog posts or podcast episodes, whatever you feel more comfortable with. And you start publishing content where you get people introduced to your brand organically. You can sell affiliate products that are targeted to your customers on your channel, whether that's the blog or the YouTube or whatever. Oh, it's nice sunny here. And you can then leverage and see, hey, what products are actually selling. So if you sell different affiliate products, you can then see, hey, what other products are working well. So in the future, you can do those products yourself. So you start kind of doing a second stream of income. You start building your brand. and you start having this organic traffic, because organic traffic is free. If you put it out, if you put it out in your blog post, and you get the SEO going, the search engine optimization, and these are all things that you don't have to know in the beginning when you launch your products. These are all things that you can learn over time, right? If you put it on YouTube, after some time, your video skills are going to get better. Your video quality is going to get better. People are actually going to be more interested. YouTube is actually starting to show your videos. So the more content you can push out, and it's a little bit, at the beginning you're a bit awkward. You're going to sit in front of the camera and you know, do a little bit of, but you know, after some time you become very comfortable with that, or with writing, or with podcasting, and it just takes practice and it just takes time. But once you're on the level that, you know, if you do it consistently, I promise you, for example, if you publish every day, if you publish one piece of content a day, after 12 months, your life has completely changed. Completely changed, because the whole growth on these platforms is exponential. So even though it seems very slow in the beginning and things are not getting going, and, you know, from 1 to 10 subscribers is crazy hard, and then from 10 to 100 seems impossible. But then later to say, okay, I go from 100 to 200, easy. Right? To go from 200 to 1,000, easy. So it's just the hard part in the beginning to get going. And I saw this the same with my podcast. I have the Easy Peasy Sourcing podcast. So if you're interested to that, just check on any directory really, and subscribe to the podcast if you like to listen to these videos on the go. It started very slow. Now thousands of people are downloading the episodes, right? So all I want to say with that is, if you have these small budgets, cycling back to how much money do you need to sell on Amazon? Ideally, you have $5,000. That makes your life a lot easier. In best case, you have more than that. In case of going the actual entrepreneurial road, that can work with a couple of $100. Just getting started, putting something out, thinking outside of the box, adding different strategies to that are not reliant only on pay-per-click, because the lessons you learn from that are going to be able to grow your audience, grow your products like crazy. If, for example, you started with 500 and over 12 months you learned how to do content marketing, you learned how to do affiliate marketing, you learned how to leverage different channels. After a year, those 500 will have, now you will have those $5,000 available as well that the other person had a year ago. And the person that had $5,000 a year ago and is putting it in and leaning back and only relying on pay-per-click, well, guess where that person, after a year of doing it, you're gonna take off. They cannot compete with you. It's incredibly easy for you to take over their listings and to wipe out your competition, because if you learned all of those skills and your competitors didn't, because they had the $5,000 initially and they leaned back and didn't do nothing anymore, well, guess what? You got the advantage, my friend. It's a hard route, but that's, you know, if it was supposed to be easy, and that's really what separates the winners from the ones that do okay in this game. It's not always easy, you know. It takes time. It takes effort, it takes work, it takes consistency, which is the hardest part, by the way, the consistently staying at it, keeping at it. It's the things that you give up. It's not the things that you do in addition, it's the things that you give up, the watching TV, the time, you know, snoozing in the morning and turning around and sleeping a bit longer. It's all of these things. So how much money do you need to sell on Amazon? $5,000 are ideal. $500 can be working out as well. A long time I said, well, $500 don't even start, but start thinking outside of the box. Learn all these different strategies and you're going to be rewarded, I promise you. Okay, that's it from me today. I'm going to get fried here in the sun, so I'm going to leave you with that. Let me know what you think about this content in the comments. Send me your questions in the comments below. Check the description for a full guide on sourcing your product in China on YouTube. No email address required. It's a full guide on everything you need to source your products correctly. Remember to subscribe to this channel to get more content like that, and I'll catch you tomorrow.